There are things in pop culture that cannot be changed or altered. The iconic Superman, his image, and his story have been around for almost 100 years, but this still mostly remains between the pages of a comic book. When we talk about live action, whether it's TV or movies, only a handful of men occupied the role, and none more iconic than Christopher Reeve. Reeve's performance transcended even the bad Superman movies. So did David Cornsweet live up to Reeve's performance? And was Superman 2025 any good? Let's find out. I'm Meffistoe. Like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie Superman. And no spoilers. It's no secret that over the years, making a Superman movie brought with it a lot of controversy. From what he should look like, to what suit he should wear, and what symbol he should wear. It is hard because the most popular version to compete with is a beloved one. Not because of the iconic image of Christopher Reeve, but the amazing score of John Williams as well. And no one could get it right. The Tim Burton and Nicolas Cage version never went off the ground. In Bryan Singer's version, Brendan Routh did his best Reeve performance, and Kevin Spacey was a pretty good Lex, but the script was awful and the movie was boring. And Henry, poor Henry. He could have been a definitive version, but he was stuck playing Superman in a Zack Snyder version. Yikes. But James Gunn is a different animal than Snyder. He proved it with the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise that he could make a movie full of heart, create great action, and slap on some comedic moments to it. But was he a good fit for the ideal of Superman, or what we think that Superman represents? Truth, justice, and the human way? Not really. I believe that James Gunn truly wanted to make a movie detached from our own reality. He wanted so much to make a movie that focuses on telling a Superman story. But because he lives in the environment he lives in, he just couldn't help himself with involving other DC characters because, after all, he is tasked not only to produce a Superman movie, but also to re-envision the entire DCU. And I think he almost made it. For the most part, in the movie, Superman acts like a Superman should, but at various points, he surrenders to anger and has a tantrum, which was odd to me. But going back to the comic books, with the passage of time, Superman always advanced with the technology and with the times, thus creating new ways of hurting Superman from different sort of angles. Gunn uses this to create a new way to figuring out Superman and how to outsmart, outthink, and even bludgeon Superman without deconstructing him just like Snyder did. And underneath of it all, I think Gunn had a solid story he wanted to tell, but he just couldn't help himself in introducing a few outside characters that may or may not play a part in the larger plan called DCU. As for the acting, I was pleasantly surprised by David Cornsweet, even though he does have an unfortunate name. He went into the role with so much baggage, and he managed to give us a Superman. To be fair to the actors I've mentioned in the intro, they were all pretty good-looking Supermen, but it was down to the material they had to work with to actually infuse a personality into the character. The way I look at the character is of a stoic outsider trying to drag humanity into being a better humanity. So I didn't really like the overly emotional scenes involving the character of Superman. But that doesn't make Cornsweet's acting at any fault. But I would like to say one thing that doesn't really spoil the movie, but it felt really weird that most of the time that you see Superman as Clark, he really doesn't have his glasses on. Only at one specific scene, which was incredibly short. As for Michelle Brosnahan, she was an okay Lois. Don't get me wrong, I really don't like the Margot Kidder version, but it is what it is. However, she does have moments where she is in full investigative reporter moments that really played off on the screen. And I like the fact that she stayed away from most of the main parts of the action and mostly acted as an observant rather than a participant. I like that, and it was a great choice since she is not really a superhero, but she does play a key part in the social aspect of Superman, and that was done very well. As for the third member in this weird triangle, in a Superman movie, it is just as important to cast and write a good villain. Nicholas Hoult was a fantastic Lex Luthor. He just hit a spot between calmness and craziness. Hoult managed something that no other live-action actor did since Gene Hackman left the role. Managed to do a better Lex than Gene Hackman. And I truly believe so. Hackman played Lex like a huckster. Hoult had those moments, but he was mostly a rich, entitled, jealous billionaire that that wants nothing but to destroy Superman. And when I said destroy, I mean his image, his legacy, and replace it with his. I did have my doubts about Holt being cast in this role because he usually plays off as a timid character, whether he is or he's not a villain. In this movie, you never see Holt, you only see Lex. An absolute spot-on casting, and I would love to see more of that. After all that's said and done, Superman did a solid reintroduction to the character, much closer to what we remember from Reeves' version of him. I went to the theater and had really low expectations of this movie. I was really burned from Man of Steel, and I was pleasantly surprised. Lex was a great villain, the story made sense, Superman wasn't broken down into various pieces, plus you don't get the origin story again, you just start with the action. Gunn tried not to do too much real-life politics in this film, but some of the things kind of slipped out, and it kind of reminded me of Superman's 4 attempt to teach us all about how bad nuclear weapons are. But this time around, it involves more of immigrant, alien, not truly belonging, but we'll put that aside because it's really a small piece of the movie. But talking about the superheroes that were introduced in this movie, and this is not spoiling anything, this was all in the trailers. Nathan Fillion as the Guy Gardner Green Lantern was obnoxious and annoying. Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl was inoffensive because I probably don't know anything of her from the comic books. But Eddie Gajegi was really awesome as Mr. Terrific. Again, I have no point of reference from the comic books. I don't know if he's similar or not, but the character was really good and it fitted with the story, plus he is not overpowered. Skylar Ginsoto, who played Jimmy, has a very good version of the kid, but I wanted more out of Wendell Pierce playing Perry White. He got very little screen time in this movie, but what you see of him, you really like. If you've not seen any of my other reviews, I don't give a number or grade it on a star system, but I will say this, that I felt like we got a decent Superman movie that had all the potential of being hokey, and in a film climate that is really fed up with superhero stories, this could have been a disaster. So I sat down and I enjoyed the film for the most part, but there were things that detracted from what I want my Superman to be. Did it top Christopher Reeve? Hell no! It is very far from that character. But was it bad? Not in the least. It's a 2-hour experience that didn't really feel slow, especially because as the movie starts, you are plunged into the story and right into the action without much setup. And it even have the save a cat moment that is very crucial to a superhero movie. And people forget that. But the emotional outbursts of Superman were dumb. And some of the comedy, just some of the comedy that Gunn written into this movie felt a bit out of place. And oh boy, did Gunn stretch the line that comes to PG-13. But there you have it. And despite the fact that we didn't get a stoic Superman, I will recommend you watch this movie, especially on a big screen. But go in with low expectations because it will make whatever you watch a happy experience. Because when I got out of the theater, I was just happy. I thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.